What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match preview stream for you guys. We've got Brian Daigle, Tottenham on tour, in the studio, people. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing very, very good, mate. It's FA Cup third round weekend, which is always a great weekend. And excited to be here again with you, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. In the Cup for Tottenham, big history for Tottenham Hotspur in this cup. Is it 8 times Spurs have won this trophy? And you know what? When I was growing up, like, Spurs were, I think, at the top or at second to Manchester United, I think it was, for most wins of the FA Cup. Obviously, since then, Arsenal have won a heap of them, and they're top of the pile now. And the kind of FA Cup tradition from this club has kind of gone down the pan. Do you think it's just in this club, or do you think it's just like football in general? The FA Cup has lost its shine a little bit.
It's hard for me to say, because for me, and I know Bob's as well, the FA Cup means everything. It's never lost its magic for me. That my first memory of it, unfortunately, my first FA Cup final I remember watching was the Gary Mabbutt own goal against Coventry. And that was the days when you used to watch it from first thing in the morning on BBC with Des Nynam, with the leaving the hotel, the build-up. It was just an outstanding day of football. I think when it started losing its magic is when United won the treble in '99, and they had to go to the Brazil for the World Club Cup, and they didn't take part in it. But it does seem now, compared to what it was then, with all the money that's in football now, and all the resting of players and using it as a rotation, it's, I would say, on the younger generation, it may have lost the magic that we grew up on. But for me, it will never, ever lose its magic.
And talking about a player who was, had a big history in the FA Cup, just before we get into the Spurs and Portsmouth stuff, I want to say, because it's quite important to say today, is Gianluca Vialli passed away today. He obviously had a big history in the FA Cup with Chelsea, and Antonio Conte won't be taking the press conference today because of that. He was a close friend of his, played together at Juventus. And Stellini will be taking the press conference today. So I just want to say, Gianluca Vialli, rest in peace. It's, at times like these, it's important to put rivalries aside. And, he was a great player. Yeah.
I mean, what I'll say is obviously the same with David Gold. Gianluca Vialli, I was telling you the story just before. When I worked in Harrods in 2001, I was in the sports department, in the golf department, and Gianluca Vialli was a regular customer of ours. And he'd always stop and talk to us for half an hour, 45. He was an absolutely wonderful, wonderful man. A great, great footballer, but a wonderful man. And at 58, it's really
too young.
It's way too young. And rest in peace. And like you said, at times like this, rivalries go out the window. So rest in peace, Gianluca Vialli.
Yeah, and also, it must have been, I know he's gone too young, but for him to experience that Euros win with Italy on the bench as well, being part of the coaching staff last summer, it must have been great for his family and friends to see him there and obviously not have him around anymore.
Well, I didn't know this as well. He was actually married to, or he still is, unfortunately now widowed, to an English lady. He stayed in England for a long time. I didn't know he was married to an English woman. And obviously he was great friends with Roberto Mancini, and they did a lot they won Sampdoria, their first ever Serie A. And they remain great friends. And yeah, he got to see his country, be a part of a coaching team to see his country win anything. I heard a stat as well. He's the only player ever to have a winner's medal and a runners-up medal in the 3 major European Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup, the UEFA Cup, and the Champions League. So he did a lot.
Yeah. Definitely. So rest in peace to Gianluca Vialli. Rest in peace to David Gold as well, who passed away very sadly a few days ago. But let's carry on with the preview. We've FA Cup third round, like I mentioned. Last year in the FA Cup third round, we played Morecambe in a 3-1 victory, and that was that infamous game with Tanguy Ndombele just strolling off the pitch. Hopefully we won't have any more of that come tomorrow, 12:30 kickoff. But how are you feeling coming into this game? Obviously, you're talking about the histories, the traditions of the FA Cup, how close it is to you. How are you feeling coming into this one?
Well, first of all, we were watching that Morecambe game together here, weren't we? And that Tanguy Ndombele thing is the thing, forget the result, that stood out the most of that game. I think it's what everyone will remember. These games are always tricky. The third round, because it's always builders, there's going to be a shock. The fact we're at home is good. Portsmouth, which we'll discuss later, have just lost their manager. Dane Scarlett can't play. It's just a wonderful weekend. I imagine I haven't been to a third round day or an FA Cup game for a good few years now, because obviously living in Canada. But it's a more family orientated day, isn't it? So it's going to be a nice occasion tomorrow.
Most definitely will. And when you're looking at Portsmouth, they started the season really strongly this season, Portsmouth. Dane Scarlett was on fire for them, scoring in the goals and everything like that. But it's all seemed to have gone wrong in the past couple of weeks. And Danny Cowley, the manager, has been sacked now. And it's be interesting to see what impact that does have on Dane Scarlett, because he was a massive fan.
Huge. He was huge. He was raving about his defensive work and his tracking back. He was his energy, and he was doing some things with Dane Scarlett. And obviously, like you said, does that now make him a first choice? Will he be on the bench? Does Spurs look at if he's not there? Does he come back to us? We know he won't be playing tomorrow, but yeah, it could have a huge impact on Dane Scarlett's progress.
Yeah, it will be. And when you're looking at that form for Portsmouth coming into it, they haven't won in the last 4 games, 2 draws and 2 losses. Big part of why he has been sacked. When you're looking at the teams that they have lost to as well, Charlton and MK Dons, who were really struggling in that league, with Charlton 17th and MK Dons second from bottom in 23rd. So when you're starting to lose to those teams, when you're trying to get promotion, you know things aren't going right. Scored only 6 goals in their last 5 games, 7 conceded in their last 5 games. And on the flip side, Spurs not been on the greatest form, but on the back of a really convincing win away at Crystal Palace, and surely that win's going to give us confidence.
It can't give you anything back, can it? A tough place to go, getting the result done in the second half, as we've been doing consistently this season. And yeah, that's got to give us the the confidence. But like I said, we cannot take the FA Cup third round day for granted.
No, we can't.
Not just because of the form that we've been in and inconsistently, but this is a day where there are major upsets.
Do you know when the last time Spurs lost in the third round was?
Oh, Jesus.
Here's a bit of a quiz for you.
There is a bit of a quiz for me. Right, let me think.
And you guys in the comments can answer as well, by the way. Let us know. Do you know when the last time Spurs lost in the third round of the FA Cup?
Not a clue.
Not a clue?
Not a clue.
It was in the 13-14 season when we played Arsenal in the third round of the FA
With
Cup.
Theo Walcott. And when he did...
2-0, yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you said the 13, I thought you were going to say like 1913 or something. I was like, no. I remember third round defeats after that. Yeah, that's a long time.
And the time before that was 05-06 against Leicester. Do you remember that one? 3-2.
Yes. I was watching that in Eilat. I'd just come back from England when I was living in Israel. I think, if I'm right, Mabizela scored a wonderful banger.
No, that wasn't in that game. Mabizela scored in the league. I think in this game, I think it was Stalteri that scored the banger.
Outside the area, bang. And then we went 2-1. We lost 2-1.
3-2.
There you go. I'm on fire today. Fire.
I think it was Stalteri. Let me just double check.
It was.
I've got it here. Yeah, Stalteri.
Fellow Canadian.
Yeah. Stalteri and Gina scored for us. We went 2-0 up. And then Elvis Hammond scored in the 44th minute for Leicester to put it 2-1. And then Stephen Hughes scored 57th minute, and Mark de Vries scored in the 90th minute to send them through.
There you go. I mean, the only comeback I remember like that was when we lost to Man City. When
we lost to Manchester United.
No, I'm talking the FA Cup.
Oh, FA Cup.
FA Cup. Yeah, let's hope. Like I said, it is FA Cup FA Cup day. There are some big fixtures with Premier League versus lower league teams. I'm sure there will be a couple of people that will fall out, but let's hope and pray it's not us, and I don't think it will be. Yeah,
let's hope not. I mean, with Danny Cowler being sacked, are you fearful of the new manager bounce?
Joe, what I'm more fearful of is obviously one thing we do know is those Pompey fans are crazy. They will be non-stop. Yep, they are non-stop. They are a passionate bunch of fans that when they come, they make noise everywhere they go. So I think they've got, was it about 9,000?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of noise coming from there. Obviously, new manager bounce always seems to work. Is it who have they kept? They kept Cowley's assistant, or
I don't know. I don't know who they've kept or who's going to be taking the hot seat, but we'll find out tomorrow.
There's a big reveal, and it's like Jose Mourinho. Yeah. But no, we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, that new manager bounce and FA Cup banana skin, you don't like those combinations.
No, you don't. And look, what is it about Spurs recently in the FA Cup? When you're looking at the teams that we've lost to, we last reached the semi-finals in 17-18 to Manchester United, which is fair enough. Anyone can win that game. But since then, 4th round 18-19 against Crystal Palace, 19-20 5th round against Norwich, 2021 fifth round against Everton, and last season against Middlesbrough. I mean, what is going on with us in the FA Cup recently?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go where I could go. Middlesbrough, we were here again, the watch along. That was just a shocking performance. It was unacceptable. It really, really was. That was a poor display. The one before you said was it Norwich?
Yeah.
I remember watching that. That should never have gone. That was a Michael Vaughan mistake right at the end.
No, it was Everton before.
Sorry,
Everton. We actually played really well that game.
Yeah, that was. And then Harry Kane went off injured.
Yeah.
And it was the very near end of Jose Mourinho and the Super League coming up. Then we had obviously Norwich, which was just that Michael Vaughan mistake, and the famous Eric Dyer running up the stands. I don't know what it is. But we need to rectify this. Like you said, we were the first team to ever win it 8 times, and that last one being 1991. Arsenal were nowhere near it, and now they have 14 of them. And we need to change this. We need to change this quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about time the club started bringing some traditions back as well. And this competition was so close to everything of the traditions. And like when you're looking at the history of the football club, right, we were never a team that go and won the league and challenged for titles every year. But what we were a team that went and challenged for the FA Cup every year, right?
Yep.
So where has that gone?
I don't know. I mean, I used to remember growing up, and it literally people feared getting Tottenham Hotspur in the FA Cup. It was like, oh, here we go. That it was one of those numbers, you know, like when they're doing the draw, they were one of the numbers they used to harp on about, and people didn't want to get. And there was such a tradition. Like I said, there's that one record that I don't think ever will be broken, to be the only team to win it non-league, 1901. Obviously, football is wildly different than it was back then, but that's still a record to be. The year ends in 1. The first team to do this, the first team to do that. First team to do the double. I
think the year ended in 1, died in 2001,
yes,
didn't it?
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for saying that instead of me. But yeah, this is a cup that like I said, me and Bosper, who are people know our relationship, it grew based on that 1991 FA Cup run and the Gaza free kick and the Gaza display against Arsenal and the final where he went off injured. This cup of my generation was ingrained in you. This is something that, like you said, Spurs, you get. They will go quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals. That is what you expected. And it just hasn't happened in recent years. It really hasn't. Like you said, the semi-final against Manchester United, we just didn't turn up, I don't think. We had the one against Chelsea, and I was there.
But the semi-final against Manchester United, right, I thought we started really well. And Moussa Dembele was running the show, and then he brought on Pogba, Mourinho.
Yep. And
it was game over from then. Pogba completely tore us apart, didn't he?
He did. What I will say as well with the Chelsea one, is I was there, I think, for huge sections of that game, we were incredible.
Yeah, we
Absolutely incredible. But they had Hazard, Diego Costa, and someone else on the bench, brought them on, and Matic had his back to me right in front of me when he let go of that rocket, and that was a no goalie saving that. It could have been 2 in there. And we just need to get over the line with the semi-final record we have at the moment is just our record in general in the FA Cup is tragic lately. Tragic. Yep. Since the Poch days, we haven't got past the 5th round. There we go. And hopefully Conte can change that, because Conte's had his hands on this cup. So let's hope we can do it. Like you said, listen, this cup is a big piece of fabric in our DNA, in our history, and we need to bring it back. We have to bring it back.
And it's not been part of our traditions for so long now. I mean, you know, everyone in the comments is going, "Oh yeah, it's because of Levy happened." But actually, like we hadn't won the FA Cup 10 years before he even came to this football club. So these traditions died even before he came to the club.
They did. I can agree with that. But again, it comes down to recruitment. Again, it comes down to did we have the players to compete? So,
but you say it comes down to recruitment, but in that time, Wigan have won the FA Cup. You know what I mean? Teams much smaller than us with much less infrastructure than us, much less. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. On that, you're right. Like I said, I always say, once those players cross the line, the result and the performance have nothing to do with Levy, but the fact they're on the pitch has everything to do with Levy, and the players just haven't had. But again, there's not that winning mentality. I showed you that thing with Carl Walker that said yesterday. Where he said, when I won with Man City, I finally knew I had that winning mentality. I wasn't just a participant in finals, I was a winner in finals. And that comes down to it as well. So it was before Levy. It's carried on with Levy. And we need to end it with Levy whilst he's still here, because this cup means everything to Spurs fans.
Absolutely. And since Spurs have last won the FA Cup, apart from all the usual names, Everton have won it, Portsmouth have won it, Wigan have won it.
Portsmouth won it by beating us in the semi-final.
Yeah, and Leicester have won it. But you know what? They beat us in the semi-final, and I remember coming out of Wembley that day, and I saw a mate of mine on Wembley Way, and I was with Sim, and we had Arsenal a few days later with the Danny Rose moment,
Yep.
and I was like, oh my God, we've got Arsenal and Chelsea in the space of a week.
Yep.
And little did we know what was coming around the corner.
Exactly.
And you know what? I would take that Portsmouth loss for those two wins any day of the week.
When you put it up against that and what it went on to the first time we got in the Champions League, for once, I will say that one was more important than the trophy. So only that once.
Yeah.
Especially with Arsenal and Chelsea back to back, and the Danny Rose goal. That was the coming of Gareth Bale. That's when we destroyed Chelsea, scored against Arsenal, and we went on there. But yeah, again, I can't keep reiterating just how important is this cup. And let's face it, this is our, I would say, only realistic chance of silverware. We're not winning the Premier League, so we can all forget that straight away. And it is going to be very, very tough ask to win the Champions League.
Absolutely. If you bring up the next graphic, this is a predicted lineup for Portsmouth coming into the game. Obviously, they've got a few injuries and suspensions for this game. So Reed is injured, Scarlett is ineligible, and Pack got sent off for a double yellow in their last game. So he is going to be out. And it's an interesting one. That left back, Connor Ogilvie, I think he came through the ranks at Tottenham Hotspur as well. So it's a big day for him coming back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So we're going to go for Griffiths, Swanson, Morrison, Raga, and Ogilvie at the back. Curtis, well, I can't read it from here. Morel.
I can't either.
Can you read it?
No.
I've got it right here, so it's all right. Tunnicliffe, Morel, Dale, and Curtis in the middle with Pigott and Bishop up front. And I believe Bishop is the man to watch out for there, being their top goal scorer this season. But looking at this game, Brian, what is your score prediction?
I'm going with my heart. I'm going 3-1 Tottenham.
3-1 Spurs.
I'm going 3-1 Tottenham. But again, it all depends. You just brought
Surely
up
we can keep a clean sheet against a managerless Portsmouth.
Why say it? I say these things, and then if we don't concede, I'm happy. You do that, and it's like, oh, for God's sake. So you look at it like
because
you said,
I tell my true predictions.
Also, what you've what you've got to remember as well, we have no idea what this squad's going to be. This isn't going to be. I don't think you're going to see like the first 11 for a Premier League game.
Let's actually talk about that, because I think. Obviously, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty in the predicted lineup a bit later, but let's talk about what kind of team that we think is going to turn up. I mean, Forster's probably going to play right in goal.
I would imagine.
Right back, you're probably going to see a return of Emerson Royale, I'm guessing, because Matt Doherty, or maybe Jed Spence.
I'll tell you what, if he doesn't get a look in tomorrow, then what more can you say about he does not trust him, he does not want him, message to the hierarchy. Not for me. Go get Porro or go get whoever.
Come on, he has to play Spence in this game.
I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Whether we do see it is the question.
What's your gut feeling telling you? It's a FA Cup game against a League One team at home. Like, surely he has to play.
I'll put it this way. I'm more confident that we're going to see Sarr in midfield.
I think Sarr's nailed on. Sarr's nailed on.
We're going to see.
I love it when you call me Big Papa.
Oh, you're going to get that going, aren't you? But I think there's a much bigger chance of seeing him. Or I'll go this far. I think there's a much bigger chance of seeing him and Skip in the middle than there is of seeing Spencer right wing back.
Do you think with Bissouma's suspension last game, there's a chance of Sarr Bissouma in the middle?
Do you know what? The way he was saying about Ollie Skip, you know, when he said yesterday that he from what you're hearing, Conte prefers Sarr over Bissouma now. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bissouma skip. Sarr skip.
Sarr skip.
Because if you're saying that you're not that confident, he does trust Ollie Skip. Ollie Skip needs minutes to get back to where he is. So this is what I'm saying, where this scoreline is, we don't know who's going to start. So yeah, I personally would love to see Jed Spence start tomorrow, but I'm not confident he will. I think he may get more minutes than he ever has done, like come on at half time or something. but I just can't see him starting.
And when you're looking at the centre-back options, obviously we went for Dyer in the middle, Longley left, and Romero on the right. Do you think Romero might be given a rest in this game?
I think he may, but obviously without him, this defence becomes very, very suspect again. I mean, the 2 games that Romero's been back in, he's been brilliant for us.
Look, if you can't bring in a Davinson Sanchez or someone of the like, or Ben Davis for League One managerless Portsmouth on a really bad run, then what's the point of these players?
I'll tell you, have a look. Even though, no, it was Conte for the FA Cup last year. What was the team line-up for Morecambe?
Ndombele played, that's for sure.
Let's have a look at the lineup and let's kind of gauge what he did with players that were kind of on the fringe and see what he did.
So the lineup was Galini in goal, Doherty right wing back, Sessegnon left wing back, Davis, Roden and Tanganga, Lo Celso, Winks and Ndombele with Ali and Brian Hill up top.
So there you go. So now you got to look at it and think.
But
right,
Morecambe as well is much lower than.
Yeah,
lower.
but you got to think. I know that, but I think you may see a couple of. Okay, let's put it this way. Rather than trying to think, if you were to see 2 first teamers, or let's get 2-3 max.
I want to see Harry Kane given a rest.
Yep.
I want to see Sonny probably given a rest as well. Højbjerg given a rest. Romero given a rest. Lloris given a rest.
So the 3, who would be the 3 if you said, okay, 3 first teamers? And I don't mean regular, I mean people that we'd say that have played first team football regularly.
I'm not sure. I'd like to see a much changed team, to be honest. I'd like to see Forster in goal. This is the team I would go for. I'd like to see Forster in goal, Sanchez right centre-back, keep Dyer in the centre-back, and Davis at the left centre-back. Left wing back Ryan Sessegnon, right wing back Jed Spence, a middle 2 of Sarr and either Skip or Basuma, I don't mind which one. Brian Hill.
Brian Hill.
But we got no options up front. That's the problem with Richarlison and Kulusevski most likely out. We got no options. I think we have to play Hill, Kane, Son.
Yeah, or does he do what we said maybe he does against Palace and go 3 in the middle? And give Kane a rest and have Son and Hill up front.
I don't think so at home to Portsmouth. I don't think we've got any options up front. I think we have to play Kane and Son. I think with Kulusevski and Richarlison out, who else can we play?
I do want to see Kane rested.
For who though?
That we'll try and piece together for the predicted lineup. But I think he needs a rest and have him on the bench. So if the worst is happening and we need goals, or it's 0-0, or we're drawing, we need to get this wrapped up, get him on. But I would rather he come on from the bench. I really would. I don't know what
he brought on Kane 88th minute last year when we were 3-1 up or 2-1 up.
There you go.
But we had Dele Alli at least that we could have played.
He was putting up.
Yeah, but at least it was an option, and we actually literally have no options this time.
10. Take out Ndombele 9.
That's true. JR's saying, what about Harvey White? I'll play Harvey White. I'll play Harvey White for sure.
There's a shout. Because you wanted to mention him as well because he came on against.
Yeah, he was brilliant. He was really good when he came on, and his delivery is brilliant.
His corners were fantastic.
Yeah. So I'll play Harvey White for sure.
There you go.
Harvey White. But do you play Harvey White in the midfield? Do you play him as left wing back? Do you play him as across the front line? Where do you play him?
This is what we see. This is the thing. What I think is stopping Harvey White's development is we haven't identified a position. When we were watching doing the Nice watch along here, the way they had him in the lineup was behind the front 3 or behind the front 2, kind of like in the diamond or attacking mid. Then you saw it when I think it was when you were in Israel or in Korea he came on as a left wing back. We just can't identify a position for him, and I would like to see him. And given the time, who knows? My boy Alfie, who played against Marine, you could see him coming. You could see Alfie Devine for a few minutes. I wouldn't be opposed to that either.
I think he'll come on. I can't see Alfie Devine starting, but I can see him coming on.
I'd love it if he came on. Love it. But this is the thing with the FA Cup, and then you start saying these things about a managerless Portsmouth, and we can't even think of a team that's coming out, and we're saying it could be a very much changed team. They will play a team. This is huge for them, isn't it? This will be they'll go full strength of what they can physically put out. So you never know.
You know what we should do? We should recall Dane Scarlett for this game.
I think we'd even missed the deadline to do it.
Yeah, we should have recalled him, and if he's not going to work out in Portsmouth since the manager change, send him out on loan somewhere else.
Well, this is the thing. This is just the magic of the FA Cup, isn't it? Because they kept trying to get him to be able to not be cup tied, so he could play for Portsmouth. In the first round, they said no. Second round, they said no. Third round, who did we get? And I don't think Portsmouth even bothered making the call. Any chance? So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that the team formation, the squad selection is going to be quite intriguing.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. That is our match preview. Brian's going, what did you say, 3-1?
Go 3-1.
I'm gonna go 3-0 Spurs. Actually, Sanchez at the back, so I'll stick with it 3-1. I'll stick with it 3-1. But that is our predictions and our match preview. Just before we move on and take your callers, we have had a update from Fabrizio Romano on Pedro Porro. And he says, understand Pedro Porro is top of the list for Tottenham as new right back. Spurs will try and sign Porro as the player would be keen on the move as well. But there's always a but. And he says it's a difficult deal in January as Sporting have been very clear. 45 million release clause or no way. Stance could change in June. No, Fabrizio, it's not a difficult deal to do in January because all you need to do is stump up the money and Sporting can't do anything about it.
Oh, Jesus, goddamn Christ. Listen, this is what annoys me. It's not complicated. Other teams, when they know that there's a release fee and they want the player, boom, there's your release fee. And as someone, and I used their caption today, if Spurs were seriously investing and backing Conte, Porro, if he is this number one target, will be a Spurs player by the NLD. Last year, we failed to bring in our targets and we had them right at the end. Can you imagine if we had Kulusevski and Bentancur for the two semi-finals against Chelsea, the league against Chelsea, and what was meant to be a North London derby, which obviously didn't happen, could have had such a different impact. Such a huge impact. We could have got to a Wembley final. We might have been easier into the Champions League. How is it difficult when it's like Skriniar, when they sent Steve Hitchin out and they said 42.5 million euros, and they're like, we bid 34. They're like, no, the price is 42.5 million. If that's the price and you want to back Conte and you want to show ambition, you want 40 million? Bang, 40 million. Okay, you speak to him. It's that simple. It's that simple.
Yep, it is that simple, but it's never that simple for Tottenham Hotspur, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
This is the Adama Traore deal of last January. This is the one that's going to drag on all window.
Yeah, well, look, that kind of info that we get from Romano is just like, it's nothing new, is it? It's the same that what we've been told over the past week or two. So, I mean, there's nothing really to talk about. But let's go on and let's get the guests on. And who are we going to go to first? It's the Joracle, people.
Oh, big up.
The Joracle. Yes, Jory, how you doing, my friend?
What's up, Jory?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, still happy with that 4-0 win against Crystal Palace. And obviously me and Brian were there. The atmosphere was insane. The protests were insane as well. After every goal, the chants getting louder and louder every game. Did you watch that with a bit of pride?
For sure. Yeah, actually, you nailed it there, Ben. The word is pride. First of all, I've been really, really proud of the fan base this week. You know, I think the way they've been singing, and especially at Selhurst Park, you know, the way they sang for. Hello, are you there?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you keep breaking up.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna. Hopefully, they'll be better now.
It's better now. Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So you know, I love the fact that we got the Levy out chants and we got the Conte, the Antonio singing as well. You know, that couldn't be a more clear message to the world, basically, and that's something that we as a fan base haven't been great at. You know, sending clear messages. But there were so many positives from that game. You know, so absolutely. You know, Sonny broke his curse. the young players got to play. Like Jill for me was man of the match. I know Kane was the man of the match in terms of real impact, in terms of quality and all of that. But Jill was the man of the match for me because he was the difference maker. He was what made everything kind of click really for me. And I kind of consider Jill now to be our own little pocket Kulusevski now. He's like a smaller, lighter version of Kulusevski. He goes in and does similar things. And so
Diet Decky.
yeah, something like that. Cooler light, something like
Decky
that.
light,
And I'm really happy because I've always fancied Jill from the very first, even before he came into the club. I did some research on him, and I really fell in love with him. And to be honest, I really think like. The thing about, even though players are small and all of these things, if your IQ is high enough and you have the on ball skills, you really should be able to adapt to anything. It's just a question of time and and getting the chance to do it. And I'm happy that at least for now, Conte and the club is giving him the chance to do it. So. Sa looked great as well. That was really one of the few positive things from the Villa game was the way Sa came on there. I thought he looked really good also there. That it's really it's great. And another thing that also another positive was Conte was animated, passionate again. He was in it again. He wasn't disengaged as he was in the Villa game. So yeah, it was really really a really good and needed game, I think, for the whole fan base. So yeah.
Jory, Spurs have a big tradition in the FA Cup, won it 8 times. At one stage, we were the holders of winning it the most times in the competition's history. But obviously, since '91, we haven't won it since then. What for you as a Spurs fan? What does the FA Cup mean to you?
I mean, I think the FA Cup is the most prestigious domestic cup for sure. Still, But the problem, especially when you get into Champions League, the reality of modern day football is, the money, and when you're like us, battling, we battling for the big, our club's favorite title, which is a 4th place finish. That seems to be the number one silverware in this club's policy these days, which I can understand. I mean, I'm critical of Levy and all of that, and like the trends in modern football and all of that. But I really feel like the cups, as much as I love them, and this goes almost for every cup competition I follow throughout Europe, is that the problem is that they're not really engaged with these bigger competitions. So if my dream would be like an FA could give an extra seat in Champions League, or like there could be cup winners in the in a group for itself or something like that. Then it would start getting real relevance again. But in terms of League Cup versus FA Cup, I'm much more a FA Cup guy, and I always love watching these competitions, because they're quite crazy, and you see a lot of new players, you see a lot of, you see the big clubs trying new stuff and so on, so I think they're refreshing to have around.
You know what else you got to remember with this, for people like Jory and people that live internationally and globally, the FA Cup has a lot more magic to it as well, because it used to be like the one game a year that not only back in the day that was broadcasted live on BBC, it was like the biggest game around the world. So anyone didn't get to see the English game, people from all corners of the globe. The FA
Exactly, Brian.
Cup was the date. So when people talk about the Magic and as it lost it here, a lot of people in the global fan base support a team because they saw the FA Cup final, and
Exactly.
that's a
Yeah,
lot to
I
do
mean,
with our global brand because of our history in that cup.
I mean, I would say definitely. I mean, when I was a kid, the FA Cup was actually, in terms of a television event, it was on par with the Champions League final now.
Yeah.
It was like everybody who was interested in football, they were not going to miss the FA Cup, and they were following the competition quite closely. And I would say for myself, the 80s teams, or like, what really caught us and captured our imagination was usually some kind of a cup game around, and usually the FA Cup, which also kind of were important. But I think this year the bigger priorities, to be sure. And I do think after this game, especially, it's very important to play our young players, and it's very important to play Spence, for example, and stuff like that, because this is where the cup, as maybe our board does. Then this is their best training, the championship, Champions League push, and so on. So I think it's important, um, everything in that way. Since we're out of the League Cup as well, this is the one to go all out for the youngsters, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of team are you expecting to see tomorrow?
So I completely I want to see Foster in goal. I want to definitely, of course, Sanchez should be in there. Maybe Davis and I don't know. I mean, I haven't thought about that.
Tanganga even.
Well, Tanganga, yeah, I forgot about
Tanganga's
Yeah,
Tanganga.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So maybe, some starts getting interested. It's definitely, Saar needs to be there. Højbjerg, I don't know, but at least Skippy probably the worst player in our squad
Looked
last game.
rustiness more than anything.
Now, like, he had, like, for me, he was always on everything. He was very calm. He found the space, and now it feels like he runs into trouble. He doesn't look up as much. He doesn't have the oversight. So I guess that can be, your form and stuff like that. If you're not, I would go with as well. But so important well, I would say, I said Saar as well, right? So I would have Cess in there, and I would have Spence starting. Cess, even though Cess is one of our regular players, we should basically go back to treating Cess as a young prospect again, because
Agreed.
there's something really, really wrong with his head, I think, mostly. Like me and Brains were joking around, and Brains calls him Sleepy all the to worry that he might be a stoner or something. It's a bit. But yeah, and then up front, that's a little bit more tricky. But I definitely think Harvey White should have a
A good go, yeah.
go at it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for us, the young players proved last game that the Conte program has progressed a lot further than we really thought. So let's see more of it, and let's try and now get it into real world situations as much as possible. Yeah.
Serious question, very quickly. When it comes to Sessegnon, do you reckon it would even be worth a try of phoning Udinese and saying, "Listen, we need Destiny back, but we'll give you Sessegnon for the second half of the season"?
I believe we tried to get Udoji back, but it wasn't possible.
Oh, is it not possible to? But what could we go back and say you could have Sessegnon? So you're giving one left wing back for what they're not. Obviously, Destiny's been a great player for them and is doing very, very well from what we're hearing. But could that be? Is it worth a discussion?
I think it's worth a discussion, yeah. But
I think it's a good idea, yeah. And I'm sure if the player wants it, and like if we were to maybe waive the fees connected with this loan or something like that, I'm sure it would get over the line. But then it gets back to the same old, right? but I can also see the other team, of course, not being keen on letting him go. So,
Exactly. I mean, he's in terms of right wing backs or left wing backs in Europe, I think he's got the biggest output out of anyone, maybe second in Europe. So I mean, I can't really see Udinese being like, yeah, all right, just take him. We'll take Sessegnon.
Well, look, Sessegnon went out to Germany and he did rather well. Maybe look, if there's a way to get him out on loan and maybe bring his confidence back and give him regular minutes, who knows?
That's also that's another thing that tells me again that we should really be treating Sess still as a young prospect, because especially the German league, is where the young prospects feel the best, where they get the most joy and so on. And he was very successful there, and the Premier League is the most brutal on young kids. And I completely sympathize with Conte's view and negative attitude towards young kids. You know, I've been meaning for a long time to bring this up. You know, we even have a team like this in Iceland, which is full of youngsters that are really pacey and quick, and it's all gegenpress and whatever. And we've been waiting for them to win the league up here for 10 years. They finally did it last year, or not even, but that, like, they endless amounts of talents. If you don't anchor that with, we need to always have the capability and the desire to invest very experienced leader type players like the Peritits and so on, to shore up exactly this young player squad that we build and is kind of economic to build and stuff like that. If we do it in a more grown-up manner, which I feel like Conte has been suggesting, well, then we actually can compete with the Man Cities and Liverpools and so on without spending their kind of money, you know. But it of course also means that you need to be honest and realistic about what you need to do, and you know, whenever I think there might be some honesty from our board, they're completely unrealistic, and the other way around, you know, and mostly it's dishonesty, of course. But the few times I actually think Levy is going out there to do something or whatever, it's usually not based on good football experience, in my view, you know. And Ndombele and Lo Celso as maybe the newest examples of that, you know. So,
score prediction, Jory?
Score prediction, let's just say the youngsters and Gil gets a couple. So let's go for 3-0.
3-0, loving it.
Loving it.
Well, you know, when Sanchez doesn't have to start game after game, he actually usually turns up with the clean sheets, you know. So, you know, let's hope.
It's not when we expect it, though, Jory. So if you're expecting
that's true.
But Jory, I've got a bit of a bone to pick with you now, because we've lost a caller because of you. Because Brains in the comments says that Jory's come on now, so he shares all my views, so I don't have to come on and say anything now.
Well, I am like me and Brains, we talk a bit on WhatsApp and stuff, and I'm always asking and kind of encouraging him to call more in. But you know, I also know, like, you know, you need to have the mental and emotional surplus to engage in this, you know. So maybe you need to take a break once in a while, kind of like Harry Kane, you know. He needs
Praise be light to Harry Kane. You've made his weekend.
The Harry Kane of the call-in, in my view, you know.
Big up, Jory. Thanks for coming on today, my friend. Have a good weekend.
Take care, guys. Great show.
Cheers,
bye, mate.
Bye. Big up to the Joracle. I'm seeing all the comments saying that the stream is lagging at the moment. Is there anything that we can do in the back end? Do we know what's going on? Yeah, so I'm not sure. Maybe just if you guys refresh, then it will come back for you guys, because it seems all good on our end. Oh, okay. I think might have been a problem on his end. But let's get on our next guest, and it's Grandpa Brian, people. How you doing, Grandpa?
Hey, Grandpa.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm very pleased to see you guys.
Very pleased to see you as well,
Always a
Grandpa.
pleasure.
I've got a few different thoughts for you.
Go
I
on,
think
tell us.
mulling over the last few months, when at the beginning, towards the end of before Christmas, we were playing the same team virtually as often as we could, because what Conte was trying to do was to build a team where everybody knew where everybody was and they could work together. And I think what started to happen, people were learning how important Kane was. And I think in the last, I mean, not the last match, but the previous matches, Kane was totally caught out. Every time he got the ball, they kicked him. They failed him. Got 2 yellow cards against him. And I think that by doing that, they broke up the whole run of the team. And without Kulu there, because if they did blank Kane out, it means they couldn't look after Kulu. So, but without Kulu, we couldn't bring it. And I think that was one of the causes of the bad issues. So bringing that forward, I think that we should think perhaps a little bit different about the team against Portsmouth, and not make it too weak. Because to start with, there is a long break before the next match, before Arsenal.
Yeah.
I think a full week. So we don't need to rest anybody, because they're not going to be tired. So I would certainly in the first half put out a stronger team as possible, so they can start getting and working together, and bring on some of the new guys can start, but bringing a few more on in the second half when we're showing the strengths that we've got. But I think we should keep a strong team. So I think we should keep Kane playing. I think that's really important. I think we should keep Romero playing and Persic playing. They bring the biggest strengths to us at the moment. And probably Son as well, because Son certainly did better. I mean, he got a goal. He still didn't play brilliantly. And in the first half, we weren't that good.
Yeah.
It was all in the second half.
Yeah.
That we got it. So we've got to, and I think that's partly because they played badly, and they didn't snuff Kane out. They let Kane be free.
So you think
you picked up on him deep.
Yeah. And I think it's always better. Spurs always play better, especially this season when Kane is the one dropping deep and really being the hub of the team. And I think the last couple of games, I don't know if it's under instruction or what, but he's just been sticking to his number 9 role right up front, and he's been completely marked out of the game the last couple of games, hasn't he? And are you saying that we just need to keep the momentum now after that second half and just keep with that same players and that same feeling?
Yeah, but keep. I think we should keep certainly, because his name is Brian. We definitely should have
the trilogy, the Holy Trilogy, Grandpa.
Yeah. The school I went to was called the Holy Trinity.
There you go.
That would be, and I think we got to have a look at Spence. I mean, it is absolutely criminal and stubborn that he's not been given a chance of more than 5 minutes.
I agree.
Absolutely ridiculous, and he should definitely be in that startup. But the others, we should be keeping as strong as we can, and we don't know, because Kulu might actually be back. Listening to
Stellini, was it?
No,
Conte.
Conte, and on his last press conference, he was talking about them nearly all being back by the time of Arsenal.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll be back. Maybe one or two of them will be back for this match.
Would you risk it, Grandpa? Would you risk it if Kulu's fit, or not fully fit? Would you start him, or would you have him come off the bench and just get some minutes in his legs?
I think I would start him.
Wow.
I would start him because what I would want to see that team getting together and start playing together as a team and feeling and feeling the warmth that they got from the second half of the last match, from the fans. There's a lot of warmth and a lot of passion that comes out from the fans that they take on board because they hear it, they listen to it, and I think they should do that. But one way or other, it should be as strong as possible team as we can put out that are available, but include Spence and Gill in it from the beginning. That would be my view.
Grandpa, let me ask
Yeah.
you a question. Antonio Conte said in one of his last press conferences, he says, with all due respects to the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, those are not the two competitions that we should be going for, and we should be going for the Premier League and the Champions League. Pochettino said very similar words as well. Do you agree with that?
No, I think we should go for everything. I mean, I think we should play for everything. And I think if you start playing around with saying, well, we're not interested in that, you just lose that momentum. And when you've got good momentum from the team and not too many injuries, that is the way we will do better in the Championship and better in the league. So I don't think we should not try for anything. We should be trying for everything. And
Yeah.
that's my. I think if students say, well, we're not going to try for this match. We're only going to play all the new players, and it doesn't really matter. It does matter. It does matter. The mood matters. What I've been on about all the time is the mentality, the mental attitude of the players, and we want that up all the time. And I think that's the important issue as far as I can see.
Any other points you wanted to raise, Grandpa?
No, I think they're the main things. I think that that was a wonderful feeling at the end of the last match, as we talked then, walking on air. But we recognise that that wasn't all our doing. They played badly, and they let us they let Kane really take over, because that was Kane's team. That was Kane's match.
Absolutely.
By such a long way. The others helped, but he was in everything. It's not just the 2 goals he got. He was there
Absolutely.
all the time, passing, fighting, pushing. It was great.
Absolutely.
My prediction is the same as Brian's, 3-0.
3-0.
Yep.
And same as Jory's, yeah. Same as
We're
Jory's.
going 3-1, Grandpa.
Oh, you're going 3-1. No, I'm going 3-0.
Yep. There we
All
go.
right. Well, I look forward to seeing you later, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the game as well. So,
He's going. I'll see you. I will see you tomorrow, Grandpa. Finally.
Oh, great. Okay, that's good news. Okay.
Good.
See you all.
See you later.
see you, Grandpa.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, let's keep going, guys. Let's keep going. We got Ben Bradford coming on next.
Pick up, Benny.
How you doing, Ben?
I'm going all right. It's a little bit better of hours for me. It's like
Well, what's the time
12 o'clock
there?
at night, so it's 12 o'clock. That's
That's
a
not
little bit
bad
better.
at all. That's not bad at all. You've actually got a bit of a smile on your face after the last game as
Yeah.
well. So it looks like a bit of a weight has been lifted off your shoulders, let's say.
Oh well, I mean, I fell asleep halfway through the game. It was early in the morning, and I stayed
You
up
missed
a
it
little
all.
bit too late the night
Yeah.
before. I watched it again, but yeah, I watched the first half, and I was just, I don't know.
Yeah, no wonder
20
you fell
minutes, I was-
asleep,
I
my
was
friend.
really
No
happy
wonder you
with-
fell asleep.
Yeah, I was happy with the first 20 minutes, and then as soon as Palace started dominating, it was sleep time, to be honest. I do the same with the F1. If it gets boring, I just go to sleep. I need it. So
How are you feeling
I was-
coming into this game, and what does the FA Cup mean to you, being a fan in Australia?
I think the FA Cup it's just magical, as you've always said. It's magical. You can see so many stories coming through, and I feel like FA Cup maybe I don't know if you can still say it because of City, but it always felt like anyone could win it. You know what I mean? It was the magic of the cup, and it was always like I don't know. I always felt there was just this sense of around the cup, but yeah, no. For us, I think we need to really decide on what we're going to pursue, because I mean, I'd love to do a deep cup run. I think that it'd be awesome to get a trophy. Shut up some of the fans, some of these Arsenal fans who are giving us all the stick for the no trophies. Love to see a Spurs lift up a trophy. The only thing I've had is the Audi Cup. So,
Wow,
yeah,
wow.
it's pretty tragic.
The glory of the Audi Cup. I'm sure you were buzzing that day.
The glory.
Oh, it was great. Yeah,
man.
no, I don't know, just a little bit of relief and happiness. But it's the way I see it is we got to pick on one. We got to pick on the league, the FA Cup, or Champions League, because I don't think we've got the squad depth to fully be pulling out a string team across each tournament. You know, like you look at some of these other teams where they're playing their second team and they're getting far in the tournament. I mean, I looked at the back line. It was like our alternative back line of Sanchez, Davies, and Tanganga. And I mean, as much as I want to believe in that back line, I don't know if I can trust them against League One teams. You know what I mean?
And that tells you everything you need to know. I mean, if you can't trust
Yeah,
them
it's
against a League One
waiting to
team,
happen.
Well,
yeah,
I
it
think
really
what
is.
you've got to look at
Yeah,
as well
yeah.
is in this round, how many all Premier League ties are there? Because
There's a
there's
few.
a fair few.
There is a fair few.
There's teams that get knocked out. So obviously
You got Man City, Chelsea.
So there's one of the big fish.
You got
out.
Man United, Everton tonight.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? There are some. That's what you've got to start looking at as well with this, because there could be some big fish or Premiership teams that are going out, which obviously we know it's normally a Premier League team that wins it. So if there's these big ties that are knocking,
Could be good for us. Yeah.
Exactly. So you got to
Yeah,
look at it that way
yeah.
as well. If you like.
I looked at it that way with the League Cup as well, and all the big teams started going out.
Look what we did there.
I think in that case we just need to concentrate on ourselves, don't we?
Correct.
And what kind of team are you expecting?
I'm hoping for probably about half the main team and then a bit of youth coming through. I'd love to see a bit more of Sarr. I thought it was cracking when he came on. I'd like to see a bit more Brian Hill. I think Kane needs a rest, whether it's just one half that he plays or whether we can manage it without him. But he's been going on for too long without a break. Most strikers, they'll have a game off or anything like that. Kane's been so consistent. I don't know how he's managed to do it, but he's been going on like this. He's been motoring on, scoring goals. He needs a break. He truly needs one, or else he can do that ankle again, and we can be in all sorts. You know, I think I'd just like to see a couple of the youth players play. Free Spence, I'd love to see him playing, but I've got a feeling as though Emerson's going to play. I don't know what's going to happen, but
yeah, I kind of got the same feeling as you, but I really hope it is Jed Spence that's given the nod. So
Another thing I want to mention about Harry Kane actually is if you look at it, he played in the Champions League final, coming back from injury. Whether it was he had something that he says he plays, whatever.
Yeah,
he did it in the Carabao Cup against Manchester City in the final. Is this record for Jimmy Greaves, that's only 2 away now, to equal? Is he like, I fancy myself to get a couple here, and he's like, he could be like, you've got to play me in this game. You've got to at least start me or whatever.
I mean, in my opinion, I think Harry Kane wants to play any game anyway, regardless of what records he's going to break and stuff like that. But I think it should be up to the manager, and I think Harry Kane should be getting a rest in this game. And with the game, I mean, he's got a whole half a season to go. So, I mean, he shouldn't be in a rush to do it like this game, you know what I mean? And even if he comes on for the last 10, 15 minutes, he can still get a goal and be one away. So
it's all true. It's all true, but he wants records, don't he? He lives off records.
The records will come.
Oh, we know that, but if you look at a game and think maybe I can get a couple, go on, Ben.
I was about to say, I think Kane's the type of player who's professional and who can put the records aside for the team. You know what I mean? I think that he could. I mean, as much as I'd love to see him smash that record, I think that he can probably look at it and go, do you know what? It's best for the team. They need me in that full shape, and maybe I can score a hat-trick against Arsenal. You know what I mean? So it's one of those ones. Yeah, that it's the dream, isn't it? But I feel like if he did come on and made a cameo appearance, I think that he would elevate the game. And I think if he's playing, I think we win that game no matter what. I think he needs one chance and the ball's in the back of the net. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Score prediction, Ben?
is, well, I think we've got two different score predictions. We've got the one that we hope for and the one that's probably going to happen. And I'm
Let's
hoping
go
for
for
a
the one
3-0.
that's probably going to
3-0 would
happen.
be lovely.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to get a 3-1, maybe 3-2. I know Portsmouth are a mid-table League One team. You know what I mean? They shouldn't be touching Spurs. We're supposed to be part of the top 6 and whatnot, but we're worried about this sort of fixture. So I don't know. Yeah, I think if Romero plays, we get 3-0. But if Romero and likes of Perisic and whatnot do have that rest, I think we can slip. One goal can go through.
All right. Ben, thanks for coming on once again, my friend.
See you later on, Ben. Good speaking to you.
Come on, you Spurs.
I have to say, when Ben got the fingers out right there, I was getting very excited. Something else was about to happen. But then he said the big 6. But big up, Ben.
All right, let's bring on our next guest. And it's
It's Danny Kyriakou. It's Danny Kyriakou.
The fireworks are about to fly. It's Danny Kyriakou in the studio. How you doing, Danny?
I'm good, boys. How you doing? Good to see you, boys.
All good,
yeah,
brother.
always good to
Back
see
home,
you, my
Messi.
friend.
Yeah,
talk to me.
back home last night. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna go into like the kind of stuff that you think I might be going into today because it's not the right
Everyone
moment
take
for it.
cover.
It's not. No, I just want to talk about kind of tomorrow, the game, and I think like what we can expect. And I think with tomorrow, I think what a lot of Tottenham fans want to see tomorrow is probably maybe like I think a lot of Tottenham fans want to see someone like Papa Matasar start tomorrow. And I think a lot of people were having discussion of who he should start with because Højbjerg obviously didn't have a great game the last game against Palace, and I think he needs not saying he needs a rest, but I think the kind of look with Sarr. What I want to say about Sarr is Sarr and Hill. They did well last game, especially Hill. I think Hill played really well in the last game. Sarr in the last kind of 2 cameos that he's had, he's done all right. For me, he's not lit up the world like, oh my god, this guy is gonna be the next Yaya Toure, or this guy is gonna be the next best thing we've ever seen. I think he is right.
But he is right.
No. Look. We'll be honest, right? We'll be honest. He showed some good moments and stuff like. Oh, I'm just thinking about it in my head now. I'm like, God bloody hell. Like, he showed some good moments and a lot of traits that we saw. Like, for example, he's good on the ball. He's quite quick. He's quite aggressive. He can seem to. He's got a bit of acceleration to him, like in those long legs of his. He's got some good kind of ability, and I think someone like him, we need to just like lay off him a bit and not put this pressure on him, because I think what Tottenham fans as a whole in general seem to do is when we see these little glimpses of someone, I think the problem is because we don't see that often enough from the players that we have. Because let's face it, a lot of the players that we have are not up to the level of what we need for Spurs. And when we do see a youngster come out of the team and he's got like a little bit of let's just say it gives us some glimpses of hope, then I think
all it took was one tackle, Danny. All it took was one tackle.
I know. This is what I'm saying. One tackle and he's Yaya Toure. I mean, look, what we saw of him is good, and I think we just need to just calm it down with him, because we don't want to overhype him, because if he doesn't start performing, the fans will start to be like, oh look, why did we start playing him? He's not good enough. We have to just give him space and time to grow, and I think it's the same for Bryan Hill. Look, Bryan Hill, everyone can see the kid has got talent, right? He's got ability, but we all know that I think the biggest thing with him, he needs physicality to kind of really stand up and actually be a really good player, and maybe actually a player who can play in the Premier League week in, week out. And again, he needs time, he needs minutes. So I think with these type of players, we just need to kind of give them some time to kind of grow at their own pace. And obviously, in order for them to do that, they do need to be given minutes and given chances. So what I'd like to see from tomorrow is that those 2 players, especially after the game that Hill had, they have to start tomorrow. And I think Papa Matasar, I'd be interested to see who he starts with. Is he going to go with Højbjerg again? I'd be surprised if he does go with Højbjerg again. And I'd like to see him go with, I think maybe Basuma. But I wouldn't mind it even if it was Skip, to be honest. I wouldn't mind to see him start with Skip, because yeah, it'd just be interesting. But I got a funny feeling that Sarr will start with Basuma tomorrow. But I do think he's going to go with a fairly strong team. because at the end of the day, it's a competition that Conte has won before. It is the last cup competition, really, realistically, that we have a chance of. I'm not going to say winning it because it is Tottenham, and we all know what the underlying problems are in terms of squad depth and all this and where this kind of goes into, which we're not going to have that conversation. But it's like we need to kind of at least give it a go and try and compete in this. And I think you have to give some of the youngsters a chance in this game, but you have to go with a fairly strong team. So, for example, I wouldn't start Harry Kane tomorrow because if I'm honest, I would probably start Son because Son has just scored a goal, and I know it was a deflection, but he needed that, right? We all could see that Son needed that goal, and you could see it in his face, like what it meant to him to score that goal. And I think that Son maybe could start up front, right, in that three, and you play Hill and maybe I don't know who else you could play. It depends.
Harvey White?
I'm not sure.
Could be Harvey White.
Maybe Harvey White. Yeah, maybe Harvey White. Why not? Why not? And look, you've got your players like Kane on the bench to bring on if you really, really need to. But let's be honest, we shouldn't really need to be bringing on Harry Kane to beat Portsmouth when you've got Son Heung-min up front. If Son's going to play, I know he's not being the same Son as he was last season, but that still doesn't mean that we shouldn't be dispatching Portsmouth fairly comfortably tomorrow. And I think you might see a run of maybe someone like Tanganga given a shot. Maybe Sanchez. I'm not sure. I've got a funny feeling that he'll go with like a Ben Davis, Tanganga, or Dyer in the middle, and I think Tanganga on the right. I think that's probably what I'd see. I'm not sure if Romero will play tomorrow. I think he'll be on the bench with Longley as well, because it obviously seems that Conte is looking like he's trusting Longley a bit more in the Premier League than he has Ben Davis. So I do feel that Davis will probably come in tomorrow, and I think you might see Forster get a game again tomorrow. It'd be good to see him again tomorrow to see what he's like, because we know Lloris has not been great lately. He's had a lot of errors in his game.
Good performance against Palace, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it was a good performance against Palace, but I mean, he wasn't really tested. He had a couple of moments where he was tested, and he did his job, what he's supposed to do as a goalkeeper, which is to save shots. And there was one or two good chances, but other than that, they didn't really trouble us that much in that game. I know there was a period in the first half where they were kind of on top of us a bit, but it wasn't like it was like a really full throttle, like we were in real danger of really sort of going 2 or 3 goals down, even though Palace could have scored one or two goals. But yeah, he did his job, and it's good for his confidence. And yeah, I think I'd like to see Son kind of really kind of kick on, even though it's Portsmouth. For him to go and get like a couple of goals tomorrow, I think will just do him the absolute world of good.
Danny, do you think that last year against Morecambe in the 3rd round, Conte was our manager? Yeah. So do you think the lineup that we played in that game is any indication maybe where Conte sees the 3rd round fixture in his head? If you want, I can read out that lineup if you want, if you don't remember.
Yeah, read up the lineup. Yeah, go on.
It's a great one, Danny.
The lineup was Galini in goal, Doherty and Ryan Sessegnon on wing backs, Tanganga, Roden, Davis at the back, a midfield 3 of Lo Celso, Winks and Ndombele, and Brian Hill and Dele Alli up front. And just to remind you as well, we went 1-0 down in that game. Harry Winks, we had to bring on Mora, Kane, Skip to get level and to win the game.
Yeah, it's funny when you put it like that. I mean, to be honest, having Dele Alli up front was just probably the worst decision you could possibly have. He was already kind of done as well. Ndombele. I mean, a lot of those players that when you read out that lineup, I just saw in my head, I just see players that really didn't give a shit about playing for Spurs. So a lot of those players in that team don't really care that much, like Ndombele, Winks. I mean, I know people say Winks is a Tottenham boy, but let's be honest. When you actually watch Winks, he used to hide behind players all the time because he was scared to get onto the ball. And that's one of the reasons why Conte wanted him out the club, because he just wasn't a good enough player. Unfortunately for him, it's not his fault.
He scored that game.
He scored that game, but I mean, it's Morecambe, right? I think Dele Alli should have scored that game. Ndombele should be scoring in that game, but Ndombele walked off the pitch because he was so bad, and then the fans were booing him because of how bad he was. We were at that game. I remember Yeah, I just think that maybe there's a bit more sense of with players like Sarr, like kind of you see the mentality in him, like coming back from the World Cup early because he wanted to get more time with Conte, and just seeing the comments that Conte's kind of said with someone like Hill and Sarr recently, giving Harvey White his Premier League debut. I think there's a sense of with what I see with what Conte's doing there is it saying, look, he's giving these players the chance now, right? It's up to them to kind of deliver, right? In the last game against Palace, they delivered to what they should be doing, right? Hill delivered, I think, quite well in that game. I think that's probably one of the best performances I've seen Hill play, to be
I
honest,
think
as a Spurs player.
it's the best performance
Yeah.
he's had in a
Hill
Spurs
by
shirt.
far. By far.
Yeah, definitely, I agree, and I think, and what I loved about that performance was with the way Conte like bear hugged him after that game, like the passion that Conte showed him was like, you've done well, my boy, you've done well, and this is what I want from you, this is what I'm looking for, and it's kind of like, it's like you just want him to kind of feel that that's the kind of confidence he needs to kind of move on from that. And what I was saying to some people before is, I don't know why Tottenham don't like just go and give Brian Hill. They talk about wanting to get his physicality up. Why don't they just put a plan in place for him, right? To actually build some mass, build some body mass, and he could get like, I don't know, 5 or 6 kilos more or 7 kilos more, and then he might be a lot more physical and actually be able to stand up more against these players. And I think when you do get stronger as well physically, he's going to get faster. He's going to be able to do. You'll see him more like a Premier League player than a player who can only play in Spain or only play in Italy. Do you know what I mean? And I think if he can do that, I think we'll see a better Brian Hill. I'll give you an example, guys. Yeah, Bentancur. Right, when Bentancur came to this club, before he was always a good player, right? I mean, some people didn't really know what he was like. I'll be honest, I didn't watch too much of Bentancur before, but you could see the player he was. He was for one season at Juve, he was key to their title win for one of their seasons. But when he's come to Tottenham and under Conte, you can see he's gone up another level because the fitness level of what's required in the Premier League, right? He's kind of physically got stronger, and you can see that's made him a better player because he's able to play his game, but to the demands of what you need in the Premier League in terms of his fitness and physicality. And I think when players have that, it makes you a better player. And I think the same thing happened with Luka Modric when he was at Spurs. Do you remember when the first season he came in, he looked like a lightweight. He was terrible, right?
They were shoving him out on the wing though, weren't they?
They were shoving him out on the wing, right? But he was getting barged off the ball all the time. Obviously, he gets moved into the centre, and he comes back in the summer, and his legs look like he's like gone twice the size. And then obviously he just got unleashed, and I think that's what happens when you can get up to the fitness levels and physicality levels that you are required in the Premier League. And I think that's what they should do with Hill and put him on this plan to kind of get him up to those levels. Because I think that I'm not saying that he's going to be like the superstar that some people might say he is, but I do think there's a player hidden in there. And I think if you can unlock that potential by getting him up to the physical levels.
Of course, that always is it gone?
Is he frozen? All right. Well, it was good chatting to you, Danny. So I don't know what's happened
Look
there.
at that lovely pause,
Oh,
mate.
is he back? Is he back?
Hello?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
back.
I'm back
He's
now,
back.
yeah.
He's back.
Danny, I
He's
just have
back.
I'm not sure what happened there.
With what you were saying as well, you missed out one key one. Obviously, the genetics are different, everything, but in his position, look what Gareth Bale did. Gareth Bale, who came as a very slight youngster. Obviously, the genetics in him and everything is different, but he bulked the hell up and got some physicality, put some weight on. So it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah, and I do think that I think those are the type of players that in these type of games especially need to be given a chance. And I think you guys have touched onto it with others as well. I do think that it would be so nice to see Spence given a game tomorrow. Just give him a chance tomorrow, just to see what he can do against a lower league opposition. I mean, I know Nottingham Forest, a lot of people, we went to the game and we wanted to see him start. But they are Premier League opposition, and it would have been fitting if he did start. But I think you have to give him a chance tomorrow. I mean, to be honest with you, I just don't want to see Emerson in the Spurs shirt again. To be honest, just my opinion. I don't know. I know you guys kind of feel. I know you were speaking about it yesterday, Ben, on Emerson and how you feel about him. But in just my opinion, I'd rather see Spence given a go over Emerson because we haven't really seen what he can do. And Papa Matasar has kind of come in, Hill's come in and started to show glimpses of what they can do. And the way Conte's spoken about them, you can see that he's starting to feel more trust towards them. And I think maybe if Spence gets that chance, maybe then it might be the same for him. We just don't know until we see it, right?
Yeah, and what do you think? Where do you think Spence's head is at right now when he sees the Pape Matasar's given a go, Brian Hill's given a go, even Harvey White coming on against Crystal Palace in the last 10 minutes given a go, when Spence's comes on when the board is already up for stoppage time, and then he's like, and we're usually like 2-0 down at the time when he says, Spence, yeah, go out there, get us that win. But no, where do you think Spence's headspace is at the moment?
Yeah, I think he's probably disappointed, to be honest. Look, the thing is, none of us know like the conversations that goes on between him and Conte and the management in terms of where they see like his kind of position at Spurs in terms of like, is he going to get enough game time in the squad to kind of help him progress? And I think from what I understood in the summer, Spurs did want to send him out on loan, but he refused to go because he wanted to prove himself. And from what I understood from the stuff that I heard, Conte was like saying, look, if you work hard enough, I want you to work hard enough and try and get into the team, but there's no guarantees, right? Obviously, there's something that either, whether it's Conte sending a message to the board why he's not playing him to say, look, well, you bought a player that I didn't want, and that's kind of the matter of it, so he's not going to play. Or whether it's something else that he still doesn't feel that he's ready in terms of tactically to play the way he wants him to play in the system, right? That Conte sets up. We don't know. It's just with Spence, I do feel that he probably feels that he probably would like to have been given a chance. Like in my opinion, I think he must feel like that. And I do feel that I think what Spence needs, if Conte isn't going to play him tomorrow, right? I think for me, that's the most telling fact that Conte does not see this guy having a chance while he's at the level he is at. And until he can get to a better level, I don't think we'll see Spence at Spurs while Conte is the manager, unless he can prove himself. And I think the only way he can prove himself is if he goes to a Premier League club and goes on loan. And I think that's the only way that he can kind of, let's just say, like build himself up like a kind of like a Kyle Walker style loan. You know, like when Kyle Walker went to Aston Villa in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
He obviously went levels and bounds at Aston Villa, and I think that's exactly what Spence needs. And I know Ali Gold was kind of saying that there's 4 Premier League clubs and Bayer Leverkusen are interested in him. I don't want him going to any other country other than England and no other league other than the Premier League. I don't want him going to a championship team. I want to see Tottenham players go on loan to Premier League clubs, because if they're going to play Premier League football and they want to get into the Tottenham team, they need that Premier League loan like Kyle Walker did, so that we can see if they can really deliver in the top level football, basically, right? League football. And I think if Spence goes to, it doesn't matter what club it is, if he can go to a club where he can play week in, week out, then we can really see if Spence can really cut it in the Premier League. And then I think if Conte sees that and he does really well and shows to the world in the Premier League that this guy is a really good talent, then I think Conte will bring him back in and say, look, I'm going to start giving you chances now. And I think that's what needs to happen, in my opinion.
All right. Big up, Danny. Score prediction before we let you go.
I'm going with a Bob Spurs special, boys. I'm going 4-1. I think it should be a comfortable win tomorrow. I think if we go with that kind of Davis, Dyer, or Santanganga, I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I do think we'll concede one. It's FA Cup. Anything can happen. I just want to see a bit of determination and desire from everyone who plays tomorrow, whether it's a youngster or not. But I'm expecting a comfortable win, so 4-1.
Are we going to see you tomorrow?
Tomorrow, no, unfortunately not. I've got a very important appointment tomorrow, which is it might help towards me moving to Amsterdam. So,
good luck, Danny.
I'm hoping that's yeah.
Well, good luck, Danny. Everyone wish Danny
boys.
some good luck in the comments. Show him that love, and we'll see you very soon, Danny.
I'll speak to you later,
Come on,
Danny.
you Spurs. I'll speak to you later, boys. Big up, man.
All right, brother.
Big
Bye-bye.
up, boys.
Come on, you Spurs.
A very calm Danny Kiriakou.
Very calm. I love it.
I think
love
when he
it.
puts DK Tottenham on tour, It's the calm.
Yeah, that's his calm alias, is it?
Yeah, with the Danny Kiriakou is hell and brimstone. So I think
and it's also not on Twitter as well. So
yeah, so big up, Daddy.
Let's keep going. Is this our last guest of the day? Last guest of the day.
Who
Have
could it
we saved the
possibly be?
best till last? Well, I can't say that because Grandpa's been on, but we've got KPV in the house.
It's me. It's KPV.
How you doing, KPV?
Yo. All good. And just a quick fact, Ben. You got it wrong, mate. It's 264, not 263, fella.
With what? Harry Kane?
Should we go? Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
mate.
I sent Brian a picture.
Why
You got
did-
it wrong, fella. Like, he needs 3.
Who
He
cares
needs
what you say?
At least 3 to go above. Oh, shut up, fella. Like, but rest in peace to Gianluca Vialli. I'm wearing the shirt in honour of him, the greatest Italian player to ever grace the Prem. Chelsea
What, better than
through,
Paolo Tramezzani?
and Conte pulled out the special.
Nicola
What?
Berti.
No, Gianluca Vialli.
Yeah.
Gianluca
it's a
Vialli,
good
mate.
message.
Like,
It's a good message. Rest in peace.
Rest easy, mate. Conte upset, and everyone in the Italian team knows him well. But rest easy, my friend. But anyway, less of that, rude boy. And you know what that means tomorrow, boys?
What's
It's
that
the
mean?
derby, mate. Tottenham, Portsmouth,
What derby is it?
and
How many
I
players
can
go?
tell you, I know players. I know what?
How many players is this the derby of?
What?
How many players is this the derby of?
Tottenham players play for. Oh God! Well, Crouch, Defoe, Crenshaw, Teddy Sheringham, and I'm not going to mention him because Ben won't like it. He shall not be
There's
named.
nothing wrong with Sean Davis, mate. There's nothing wrong
Pedro
with Sean
Mendes,
Davis.
There's another
No,
one.
not
Sean
that,
Davis.
Ben. Not that.
Noe Pamaro?
Not
Is that
that,
who you're
Ben.
talking
That's the
about?
one. That's the one.
No, not that. Not that.
Dane
We're not
Scarlett.
allowed to mention the guy on this channel, Ben.
No, you're allowed to mention
No.
Dane Scarlett.
No. No, not that. We're not allowed to mention the guy who Sim asked a question a couple of years ago with.
Are you talking about the guy that wants an MBE?
Oh mate, how bad?
Embarrassing, man.
This guy is so embarrassing. So embarrassing trying to
Like,
drag himself an MBE.
The Harry Redknapp derby?
Everyone.
Joe Jordan.
Joe Jordan?
Huh? Harry Redknapp derby, go ahead. Yeah, like, it's
Darren
Portsmouth.
Anderton, someone says. Rory Allen.
Oh, Rory Allen. Rory
Rory
Allen.
Allen?
Bloody, that's a
Fucking Rory
blast from
Allen.
the. That's a blast from the past.
Blast
That
from
is.
the past. But tomorrow, but brilliant win against Palace, and I couldn't come on after the Palace game because there was something wrong with the connection, and I couldn't come on. Like, there was something wrong with the connection, so I couldn't come on. So I blame Barry and Wes. Like, but, oh well, I guess I couldn't. It's always a pretty bad idea. But tomorrow, we need a win, and got the win against Palace, but if we can get another, and that'll be 2 wins. But I'd probably start Kane and Son because we've got no other options up front. So sorry, Ben, the one who's in a blue Spurs shirt. Sorry, pal. I have to start Kane and Son because Kane wants to break Jimmy Greaves' record. Then let's start tomorrow. But if we don't start him, I'll bring him off the bench. Like, didn't we bring him off against Gillingham where we won 7-1 in 2019?
Who? Harry Kane?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about
Didn't we
Gillingham,
bring
but
him off the bench in the FA Cup against Gillingham?
we
I think
brought him off the
Tranmere.
bench in the FA Cup against Morecambe last season.
What about Tranmere? I think you might have done the same with Tranmere. as well.
Tranmere. I mean, Llorente
Yeah.
scored a hat-trick that day,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Tranmere, man. Yeah, 7-1
Yeah,
Tranmere,
yeah,
not
Marine
Gillingham,
where we had
sorry.
Venetius.
Tranmere.
Get it right, KPV. Get it right.
Marine, it was Venetius.
All right, you.
So
Like,
he may get a rest.
and yeah, like, but I'll bring him off the bench anyway if he doesn't start. Like, he wants to break the record, and the scenes, wasn't it? Imagine him scoring a hat-trick in a North London derby, because, Ben, who was the last Tottenham player to score a hat-trick in a North London derby? Who was the last one?
I think it was Clive Allen, wasn't it? Was it Clive
Bobby
Allen?
Smith, wasn't it? Didn't you say that a couple of years ago?
Oh, you didn't know the answer
Anyone
to
in
the
the
question?
chat, let us know who was it.
Wasn't it Clive Allen when we beat them
Who was the
5-0?
last one?
Wait, I'm just trying to think. Has there been one since?
What, since Clive Allen?
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Did
think.
Clive Allen do it?
Not
though?
on
He
the
did, didn't he?
I don't know. Well, there we go. Let's find out. Go on, find out.
Google it, people. Google it. It must have been Bobby Smith. I'm pretty sure.
We'll soon find out.
I'm pretty sure it was Bobby Smith.
No, he actually didn't score a hat-trick that day, Clive Allen.
I did. So
No.
let's have a look. Last person. Has anyone put it in the chat? This is a new part to the show, isn't it?
To score a hat-trick in a
North London derby
against
hat-tricks.
Last person.
For Tottenham, though. The only
that's
one.
good. We got
for
remember. I
Tottenham.
think there may have been Arsenal that have done it against us, unfortunately, probably.
And Tottenham as well scored a hat-trick. Like, pretty sure it was Bobby Smith.
Yeah, you could be right. I can't seem
Anyone
to
in
find
the
the
chat?
fact. I can't seem to find the fact of who was the last person to score a hat-trick in a North
Well, there's a
London
friend
derby.
of mine, Rob Belcher, in the chat. That's been a very Spurs fan for a very, very long time. It's showing to me, actually. It's showing Terry Dyson.
Yeah, I've just seen that. Terry
Dyson hat trick.
Terry Dyson.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That was during the pandemic when we all done an North London derby.
We beat them 4-3 and Terry Dyson scored a hat-trick and
Only
Allen
man
scored
to
as well.
score an Arsenal hat trick. Still. That record needs to change.
And what about Tottenham, though?
No, that is the
It
only.
was
the only
26th
What about
of
Tottenham
August,
hat-trick?
1961.
That's the double winning year.
It was the
Was that
season
the
after
only
the double.
one
Oh,
Tottenham
61,
hat-trick,
62.
yeah?
Yeah.
Say again, KPV?
Well, but so he's the one that scored a hat-trick for Tottenham against Arsenal, yeah?
Yes, there's only been one man ever to score a hat trick against Arsenal as a Spurs player, and he is it.
I want to watch it on YouTube, so everyone send me the link and I want to watch it, because I want to
Everyone
keep
send him the
watching
link,
and I'm
people.
not stop. So
What's your score
and
prediction?
tomorrow I'm going Bob Spur 4-1.
Big up.
But I want a clean sheet. But I want a clean sheet, boys. But
you don't think you're going to
4-1.
get it?
Anyone who else? Yeah,
So it's been
but I
3-0,
hope I'm
3-1,
wrong.
4-1.
But 4-1.
All right. Big
we
up,
go.
KPV.
Yeah, like,
Thanks for coming on, mate.
Oh. And I'll see you next week.
See you next
You
week,
will
KPV.
indeed.
NLD
Laters.
week.
See you later, KPV.
Big up.
There we go.
Big up,
Big up,
KPV. And I think that is all we have time for today. We've got a super chat before we go from SLG saying Kane should rest so he's 100% against the scum. And I kind of agree with that and keep him on the bench if we need him, that we can bring him on and get a goal. But predicted lineup to come up next. Stellini's press conference in Antonio Conte's absence will be coming up next as well. And tomorrow you have Barry and Ashmatic in the studio. Me and Brian will be in the stadium getting you all the content on FA Cup third round day. 12:30 kickoff tomorrow at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Spurs.